Today we're looking at looping with the Voicelive 3. Predominantly this video is for those of you looping with the tc-helicon Voicelive 3, but stick around if you're looping with another loop pedal, because there's going to be a few things you'll be able to apply that will be useful to practice the specific art of looping, whichever pedal you're using. What I'd recommend is get your loop pedal set up, and if you're on the Voicelive 3, then just hold down the layer button. That's the looper button, or the button that switches between the guitar and the voice, and we're going to stay on this looper screen for the whole of this tutorial. Okay, we're not changing presets, we're not changing effects, we're not going into other layers. This is about learning the actual loop pedal. Just before we get started playing and looping, there's a couple of setup things on the Voicelive 3 that we're going to do. If you go into the utilities menu, under input, I have just my guitar going in. Again, you can choose anything, but just so that you know what we're working with today. Going back, and under sync, I have it set to smart. So what that means is basically whatever length I record on track A, track B, it will do its best to match in multiples. So if I record 1 bar of track A, it's going to try and match 1 bar or 2 bars, not 1.5 and then leave space or any of those things. So that's what you need to know there. And if you press the looper button, you'll see that I have mix looper to natural play, NP, which means that whatever loop I record is getting sent to the harmony processing, which I'd recommend turning on. And I also personally have the overdub decay set to 95%. What that means is as you layer more and more tracks, essentially 95% of the volume of each one sticks around. So it saves building these great big tracks and then your guitar being very weak in the mix as you layer and build things up. That's just my personal settings. You can play around with it more as you wish, but let's actually do some looping. On the Voicelive 3, there's 3 things you want to be able to do comfortably, and by comfortably, I mean this should be automatic. You don't want to have to look at your loop pedal to try and remember which button it is. You want to do them straight away whilst looking at your audience or looking at your guitar, or you know, being deep in thought of something else.
Oh, chocolate.
Should be automatic. And those things are to record a loop and have it play back with no overdubbing, to record a loop and to overdub immediately so that you can start the next thing, and to record a loop and simply stop it so that it's saved, ready for you to bring back in at a later stage. And so this might seem really boring and really slow to some of you that have already practiced that, but it's a very useful skill, especially when things go a little wrong, shall we say. We're going to stick with a really simple loop, which is playing a C chord for 1 bar and an F chord for 1 bar. And I'm tuned to E flat, but I have a capo on the 1st fret, so it actually does sound like C and F if you want to play along. And the first thing we're going to do is record, and you'll notice that on the Voicelive 3, when I hit record, the actual buttons change. And so we have this option of set and play, we have this option of set and overdub, and we have an option of set and stop. So let's just record this and let's have it play back straight away. 3, 4. Okay, so we want that to be super comfortable, and it's a great way to practice your timing, because this is really a very simple loop, right? And we want to get this nicely in time. Usually the reason it's not in time is because when we go to press that record button, there's too much concentration going on. We haven't actually practiced hitting that button. So instead of concentrating on just keeping the same groove, our concentration goes on to which button do I press? Am I going to get it on time? All these thoughts. And we actually just want to practice this skill. Now, here's the handy erase option on the Voicelive 3 that a lot of people don't use, and that is simply holding down anywhere that says overdub. So if you see it says overdub A, I'm going to hold that down for 2 seconds and it's gone. Now you can do utilities, erase, erase all, or erase A, and then, you know, back, great. That's a really long process if you've made a mistake. And so even while we're recording this, if things go wrong, if we go, oh, I didn't mean to do that, I can just keep playing. And did you notice I held down the overdub A and it erased, and then I started recording again. To an audience, they're not going to notice that particularly, probably going to notice the mistake, but because you kept playing, you handled it, you've got your loop, it's back up and running pretty quickly. So let's now take the second thing to practice, which is going straight into recording and then overdubbing straight away. And just so you're set up to do this, your record is going to be the right hand button on the Voicelive 3, and then you're going to hit the middle button, which, as you'll notice, says set and overdub. Okay? So, and then we'll overdub something. 3, 4. And it's already overdubbing. Now, this is what you need to know. End overdub is the right hand button. And again, while it's overdubbing, I'm going to hit overdub again. Have a look at what your options are. We're currently overdubbing. I can stop this completely. And then again, now that we've got a loop recorded, I want to know that that middle button will start it again. Perfect. So this actually takes a little bit of time to get familiar with, and I know it can seem confusing if you've just got this pedal and you're just learning it and you're new to looping, but spend some time just understanding all of your options and trying these out. Now that we're overdubbing, let's say we made a mistake on that overdub. Alright? So overdub. Oh, I made a mistake. Okay, redub. We want to know that the undo button on the Voicelive 3 is this pink illuminated looper button. It's still overdubbing, but it's redone. So I can start. Oh, I made a mistake again. I can just hit that and it'll redub. And it's recording now. Okay, great. That's the one I want. End overdub. And now it's locked in. Even though it's locked in, if I really decide to undo it and I don't want it, I can still hit that same layer / looper button and it's gone. And while this is playing, I just want to finish up. I'm actually just holding that overdub button again for a couple of seconds and it's gone. So there's one other setting that you may want to turn on or off, and that is cue overdubs. I have it off simply because I want to start my overdubs at any point during the track. Whereas if you set it to on, it means that it will wait, even if you hit overdub, it will wait until it gets back to the start of that loop to let you overdub, which just takes a lot longer. But again, the choice is yours, that's what it does, and you have the option. The third thing to practice when you're doing this is recording a loop and then stopping that loop. And whether you're beginner or advanced, this is something that can be very useful. It could be just that you want to play a lead for Tears in Heaven, and while you're singing the verse, you're recording your loop, and then when the solo comes around, you've had the loop saved there, maybe from the first verse, because you hit record and stop, and suddenly when it comes around to doing a solo, then you're able to play that and it kicks in. So again, we're going to practice just with the C and F chord, super simple, but you're getting familiar now with which button does which and what your options are, and we're going to go, and we're going to stop it, which means I want to keep playing because I'm probably singing or doing something else, but later in the song I want that loop to come in. Okay, and then again, knowing which button's which is super handy. If you really want to do this, if it's really taking some time, you may want to write out what shows up on the loop pedal. Again, from there, if we play track A, if you start looping on track B, you'll find you get similar options. As some ideas just to be creative with practicing this, because let's face it, it's just the technical side of looping that you need to practice and have your feet be consistent with. Let's think about the concept of building out your band essentially in your loop. So let's create the same thing again. We'll go straight into the overdubs and I'll talk about it as I go. So we're overdubbing, let's add a bass line. Okay, we're still overdubbing, I haven't changed any effects, but let's take those C and F chords up higher on the guitar and playing softly, just fill out this sound like you would get on an album. Okay, now one last thing while we're doing this. If I went to undo now, it would undo all of my overdubs. So if you're uncertain about the next part that you're playing, what I suggest is you hit end overdub, and now I'm going to overdub again, which means that the undo is just going to undo this very last one if I do it wrong, and I'm just going to do a really straight little four to the floor beat under it. Okay, and because I stopped that overdub, if I hit undo, all that's going to disappear is that last one. And if I want it back, I can hit undo again and it comes back until I overdub something else. And the last one is what gets undone and redone. So then look, you can practice some lead, practice your pentatonic patterns perhaps. I hope you had fun with it. I hope this has been useful. It really is taking it back to the real basics of looping and understanding your loop pedal. And it's something that most of us, me included, don't spend enough time practicing. But in terms of your confidence, when you're looping, you want to just be able to lock straight into what's going on. Sure, you can look and that sort of thing, but over time as you practice this, you're going to find that you're not as drawn to needing to stare straight at your loop pedal. And again, for those of you on the Voicelive 3, if you want to take this further, just start getting used to what happens when you record the B track. And I want to start at okay, so you've got the same options basically mapped out. On the right, you've got set and play. In the middle, you've got set and overdub. And I don't know if you caught it, right? But on the left-hand side, down the bottom, is set and stop. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. It is really fun for me creating these, and it's really exciting for me getting your messages of just, you know, you guys going through it and taking the time to practice. Obviously, it takes your work as well, doing this. But this is for anyone getting started looping, and I do feel like for some of you that have been looping for a while, it might just be a recap to think, maybe I should spend some time specifically on looping again, and just maybe reading the manual, maybe getting to know the options that are in your loop pedal, and you might get something cool out of it or some new ideas. So happy practicing, happy playing. I look forward to seeing you in the next video and chatting online sometime. Cheers.